in Currumborough at some crazy solstice festival thing, and I got the birthday boy here, cousin Rhett. Happy birthday, mate.
Thanks, mate. How are we?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you enjoying the festivities?
It's
all for you?
Yeah, it's just for me. Yeah, there's the biggest fire pile of wood I've ever seen. Looks like they've broken down a few houses just to make this fire for tonight's festivities.
This is how country people roll, isn't it?
Like, let's find some wood.
Let's find some wood and burn some things.
We can't find wood, we'll just chop a house down.
On a Star Wars note, you could chuck Darth Vader on the top of it and just burn him to death.
We're theorising over who's going to be the sacrificial human, or we're trying to work out what they're going to burn on top of it today.
Now, one of the funny things that Star Wars will do with you is that I always, on my Facebook feed, I always get, hey, you should like Star Wars. Cousin Rhett likes Star Wars. So
really?
Yeah, you follow. You're like,
I must follow Star Wars then. That's a good sign. I can't remember clicking that option, but that's good. What does that tell us about each other?
It's like I breeze in when I need to, and one person obsesses too much about it, I think.
Yeah. That's it. It's a good sign. It's a good way. I wonder if that's is that a Tinder profile option?
I don't know, mate. I've never been on Tinder.
Click Star Wars. I'm single. I'm recently single. So.
Ladies, if you like the sound of his voice, I can direct you to he's a very handsome man. He's just had a birthday, you know.
Yeah. Let's both click Star Wars as a interest.
Have you ever had that on a date, talking about Star? That's a no-no, isn't it, on a date, talking about Star Wars on the first date, depending who you know?
I haven't recently, no. It was an interesting conversation with my ex-wife, actually. We did raise she was more Dark Crystal, and no, she was a Star Wars fan, actually. I think that definitely ticked the box for me.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Like, this will do.
No, she was. She had watched all 3 of the originals, so that was a good sign.
When I was at Star Wars Celebration a few months ago, they actually had speed dating as a thing that you could do. So they had like straight speed dating on one day, and then LBGP. Oh God, I got that wrong.
Yes.
But sort of all the other things on the next day. So I don't know anybody who went, but you could do that now.
That's true.
You could come to the next one, Anaheim, and if you could wait that long, and get speed dating.
Get over there.
They're like,
maybe
hey,
if I'm single by then.
I like Star. I go, hi, I'm Rhett. I'm like Star Wars. They're like, yeah, no shit. We're at a Star Wars convention. Everyone likes Star Wars, you idiot.
What are you here for? Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, I'm just here for the speed dating.
Yeah.
But you people don't know Rhett, obviously, because he's hasn't been on film. But Rhett is a events coordinator. He organises a lot of music festivals and things. Never done the speed dating on a.
I went to a festival recently that had speed friending, which I thought was
It's a bit
it was
less
like
intense, isn't it?
Easy entry point, sort of, to the world of speed dating, I guess, was speed friending. And I actually missed it because I'd obviously done some good groundwork and speed dated or speed friended someone the night before, so I didn't feel like I needed to go.
And did they like Star Wars?
I felt my skills were okay on the speed friending.
I don't need to worry about the speed. I don't need any help on this.
No. Yes, that worked quite well.
That's all right.
Yeah. Sorry, my mother just tried to.
I know, she was telling you something. So you haven't done... Have you guys done themes? You've done little New Year's ones. You've done a little dress-uppy stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, it's more the audio. We sort of entice people with photos saying, bring your crew, get dressed up, and then it's more, we haven't actually set a tone or a theme, and it's just everyone kind of does it. We actually had the Amy ladies. That was pretty cool. There was about a group of 12 people all dressed as Amy.
Down if you're praying your car.
Yeah, down to the point, and probably listeners worldwide wouldn't quite get this reference because it's probably an Australian-centric advertising campaign for an insurance company, but the Amy lady is like a call centre lady, and the crew that came to the festival had it so accurate they even had the red pencils.
Oh, wow. That's the kind of attention to detail you like to see.
Yeah.
Would you want to get... Star Wars is a bit tricky, though, isn't it? If it's a little bit niche, you wouldn't want to... You can do sci-fi, though.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to work on... Is there like a pop-com for Star Wars in Australia?
Like a proper convention.
Yeah.
They got the Melbourne Comic Convention was on this weekend in Melbourne. Okay. So if I hadn't been down here, I probably would have done that. And that's a mix of everything, though.
Right.
But you get a bit. They've got like an official dress-up crew and stuff like that.
That's a challenge with our population size, I think. Yeah.
Not enough Star Wars.
To kind of bundle things up.
So what do you usually do? You usually rock down every new Star Wars movie, don't you? Like,
I get down there.
Do you have a crew or anything, or you just rock down whenever?
Usually just pop in during the week of release, usually, yeah. So I don't get too wound up with the hype
No.
on the big nights, unless I got offered a free ticket or a gold pass. But I definitely... My recent contact with Star Wars, or most recent, was over last Christmas. We went and bought this game, a board game. I think I might have mentioned it to you at the time. We sat down and everyone felt they'd watched all the series, every episode. We thought we were relatively informed about who's who in the show, and then we tried to play this game and we could not answer one question.
Oh, was this like the Trivial Pursuit?
Yes.
The Black Series one. Yeah, we had friends of ours before we went to Celebration. We all caught up and had a beer, and somebody brought that along. And we were just doing fast question thing. And we're talking some hardcore fans here. We got some, but there were a few there where we didn't know it either.
It was extreme. There was one of who was the bounty hunter in standing behind such and such in this scene for 5 seconds, and it was just like
IG-88 or Bosk or Zuckus or his face is like, where were you when I needed you?
Oh my god. So I wanted to actually, as a podcast thing, bring it on to the show and do a few rounds and see.
Yeah, well, next time. Have you still got it somewhere?
I think I could find it. I could source it.
It's the same one that I think it is. I think Cam might have actually got it for me for Christmas, so it might be lying around.
Yeah, get the brain trust together. Get as many in the room and just see how it goes.
Now, do you look at the trailers and stuff? You just kind of like go in cold?
No, I always watch the trailers. Yeah.
So you've seen the last trailer for the new one?
I have not.
Oh, I'm almost tempted to no, I don't have my phone on me. I do, but we're in the middle of something. I'd always get you to watch it and then tell me what you think.
Critique it. Maybe we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
We might take a break and come back.
All right, well, let's do that. Let's take a little break and I'll get you to watch it, either now or later. And we'll get your thoughts.
Sounds good.
All right, dude. All right, we're back. We're in the future. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future. Hey, now when we last left our little recording, Rhett and I were standing in the cold out in Korumburra, chit-chatting on the old portable mic, and now I'm looking at my screen. I'm seeing his face staring back at me. How you going there, buddy?
Very well, very well. It has been a little while. We are definitely in the future. Things have changed, but flying for the good.
Cars, loving those flying cars.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring them on. Where's that hoverboard?
Where's that damn hoverboard we were promised freaking 30 years ago? I think that movie's like 30 years old. Well, it must be, because we passed that date, didn't we? We passed the Marty McFly date.
We slammed straight through it. My mate actually did build a wood replica of the board and did a whole gallery around that date. Like, he did a whole lot of art pieces for that particular date.
Oh, yeah.
And had a gallery opening for it. And actually, some of the crew that rocked up had the sneakers, had the Nike issued
right,
self-zipping sneakers, which...
That's the closest we've got, isn't it, really?
Yeah, at least Nike got involved and built something.
Less money on sneakers, more money on hoverboards.
I agree.
Well, people keep going crazy for hoverboards, but what about the flying car? Let's nail flying car and work our way back to hoverboards, because flying car more helpful than a hoverboard.
100%. I think. Yeah, I don't think we're far off it. It's got to be. We're getting pretty good at jets these days, or rockets.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. That's your old engineering background coming out there, mate.
Oh yeah, that's it. It's been a while.
It's been a while since you used that part of the brain.
Yeah, it is actually. It's been I don't get to use it very often. Sometimes. I actually made a conscious effort to use my mind to calculate measurements the other day, just adding and subtraction. And I was hanging some posters, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go to the phone. I'm going to try and add these two dimensions together.
It was funny that just as I brought up your engineering, you stared off into the middle distance like, my God, that was a life. That was a Rhett that I barely remember. It was an engineer Rhett before he became promoter Rhett.
Promoter Rhett, yeah. It's a lot. It's very close to promoter rep, which is used a lot. Yep.
That's very true. Now, when we last jumped off the conversation, we were talking the old Star Wars here, but we never really dug in too deep on how you got into it. Are you the same bag as me? Were you a Glyn convert? Do you remember?
It was definitely an era. I think I knew of the films and I had an older brother, which helped. But I think it was mainly hanging around with Zeb, which ultimately was hanging out with a Durant, and they were very passionate. And
I've been trying to get Zeb on numerous times, and he's ducking and weaving.
Is he?
It's annoying me. I thought he'd really be. He was one of the when I first started this. I'm like, he'll be a good go-to. He's knowledgeable. He's always got an opinion. And I've seen him a few times at family stuff, and I've come on, same things I do to you and everybody else I hassle, and he's ducking and weaving me, mate.
It'd be intriguing to because he'd have knowledge, like he's good.
He's a bit of a deep thinker, isn't he, when he comes to this kind of stuff?
Deep thinker, and he's always good. I remember as kids, he'd always remember he wouldn't just remember the artist that played the song. He'd remember the name of the song itself and which album it was on and what track number it was, and.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he would have retained a lot of Star Wars knowledge
runs pretty deep too. But and he always gives me little teasers. He's just like, I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, dude, like, come on, get the microphone out,
There's a perfect topic here.
It's so different because then I get someone like Eli, our cousin, who's been on before, and he's just like, "Oh, do you reckon Boba Fett has a girlfriend?" And I'm like, "That's just as interesting." I just want something to come in. If the angle that you bring in it. So, I had your younger brother Angus on around Christmas time, and he was talking about sort of playing Star Wars. Was that sort of what was going on around down at the farm? Because you guys were all on the farm, growing up on a farm. Does running around on a farm make good Star Wars play?
We're always looking for things to do. It was, and any time you can take something you've seen in film and create it in your own backyard. There was a lot of tree houses. We used to build tree houses, and they obviously
fell down.
We'd pretend. Well, no, they still until the actual tree fell down. That was the end of that. But I think definitely like the Ewok era, like that, the celebration, the party in the trees. Definitely when you're up there and on our little platform that we built, definitely drew parallels with.
Looking for some stormtroopers to throw some rocks at.
Yeah, and that's when the Leia Luke kiss happens, isn't it? When they're up in the trees.
No. They have a little deep. They have a little deep and meaningful up there, but I think that's where he tells them there's his sister. I think that's when they realize they're like, oh, you're my sister. It's like, oh man,
that's right.
We did some kissing, didn't we?
There's the shutdown moment. Yes. There's the breakup.
Did you see any of those in the cinema, or are you too young? What are you, 5 years younger than me?
No, I never did.
6 never quite got there. Not the originals.
Not on their release dates. No, none of the originals.
No, I thought you were too young for that. I think even your older brother's too young as well. I think probably just because I saw Return of the Jedi at One Thaggy Cinema when it came out.
Oh wow!
So that would have been 83, 84.
Amazing. So I was born in 84, so
yeah. So no dice
just
for you.
Missed that bit, but the newer releases, definitely I saw them in the cinema. And I remember pod racing was huge. Angus was right into it. And what was it? Nintendo 64 that released?
Yep.
The pod.
Yep. They had the Star Wars pod racer, whatever
Racer.
it was, 64, yep.
Yeah. No, there was very good brother battles on the pod racer on 64. It was a very
Got a bit
good
of mileage out of it. Do you remember where you saw the prequels? Did you have to sort of take Angus down? Was he riding the hype? He was riding the hype train. He would have been right in the age for that, wouldn't he? So that was 99. So he was probably sort of 11 or 12 or something. Or
I definitely think the first one was at the Cinema 4, Leongatha.
Oh right, was that even built then?
I think so.
What year was that built? I think that was one of those things where it was built as soon as I moved out.
We were still down. Yeah, it was definitely in high school and before.
Yeah, because I grew up in Leongatha my whole life and we had nothing. There's nothing to do in Leongatha. I mean, it was slightly more to do than living on a farm like you guys were. But I think the year after I moved out, we got a McDonald's and then we got a movie cinema. Like the year after I left.
The two things a teenage boy wants.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably good for my acne though, not having a McDonald's nearby. Although,
True.
did you work at that McDonald's? I think, or Aiden worked at that McDonald's, didn't he?
Yeah, we both did. There was an era of both the Sweeneys, Dan and Sam, and then also Aiden. Oh, there was heaps of us, but yeah, Mum, to her credit, would drive us in and out all of the time. Like, for the listeners, I grew up half an hour on a farm outside of the town, but yeah, to her credit, Kez Mac always ensuring the boys got a good lesson in how to
flip a burger,
and also
get your mum to drive you to
diligence and uniforms and regimented workflows.
Surely milking cows is reasonably regimented. You know, they all want to be milked at a certain time.
That's true. You are chained to the grindstone.
So you don't remember Angus trying to build his own pod racer in the back shed or anything like that?
Definitely no. When it weren't really tinkerers. Well, Angus wasn't. He was more.
He would have been almost, because Angus is. How old was Angus in '99? Can you think off the top of your head?
He was born in '87.
Yeah. So he would have been 12.
Yeah.
So he could have been that kid. Like, for people who remember 100%. Angus being on, Angus is an actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Look him up, Angus McLaren. He wasn't on an earlier episode, and did he tell you? Did you know that he auditioned for young Han Solo?
Did he?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
He when we was on Christmas, then they did the new Young Han Solo movie that came out last year.
Yeah.
Because I was asking, going, have you done any Star Wars? Any Star Wars auditions? The bunch. He's like, nah. Oh wait, no, hang on. Yeah, no, I auditioned for Young Han Solo.
just the pretty important one, Young Han.
Yeah, I don't think he obviously didn't get the role, but he was pretty just like, I had to go in and read some lines. It wasn't, and it was I only found out afterwards what it was. It didn't. It wasn't like Chewie, pass me the something or.
There wasn't anything good in there.
No, it wasn't.
Some of those auditions are blind auditions where you just read lines to a camera to your iPhone and send it in. But
was he acting in the late 90s? He could have been the kid. He could have been young Anakin Skywalker.
He wouldn't have been far off. He would have. When did he start? Something in the Air with Eric Bana. There's a little. There's a pull. There's a trivia drop for you. Yeah.
Yep.
Just pretty much while Eric Bana was filming Chopper, he was making a living from doing this ABC show called Something in the Air. It was in our local town, and we all went down.
Stage mum Kerry, get the kids down.
She's like, quick, get them down for an audition. They might land something. And we all went down, and just so happened that they really just took our names and took a photo of us, and pretty much everyone in the local area got down there, and then they were looking for extras, and then Angus got picked out of that one photo, and the lead young boy on the show needed a friend for like 6 episodes, and just off the photo, Gus got the role, and away he went.
And there you go, and then you're auditioning for young Han Solo.
That's right. Draw that
holding that, you're going like, could have been me. If only they looked at that photo.
The resentment. I think I was probably in the height of my teenage ugliness. I think I had braces and acne, and the hair wasn't quite.
Now, Rhett's a very handsome man. I'm looking at him right now. So the awkward teenage years have passed him by.
Yeah, they're gone sailing. No, I definitely have grown into my face, I think.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. Don't you love it when you get put on a podcast and everyone's like, let's just talk about your famous brother?
Yeah, that's true. No,
how weird looking you were when you were a teenager.
That's right. It's something I've learnt to live with, and I'll continue to live with.
So was when you were growing up, was Star Wars your big thing? Was it like your go-to? What else were you guys into? I'm just trying to remember what you guys like. You're obviously into same stuff. Lots of kids at like footy and cricket and all that kind of stuff as well. But I kind of felt like you guys kind of followed the fandoms and stuff the same as we did. Your Ninja Turtles and your Transformers and all that kind of gear.
Yeah, we definitely followed. I personally, it's interesting reflecting on film and what yeah, obviously enjoyed the Star Wars trilogy at the time, I guess, when we were teen young. And then this is funny. The series of films that I connected with most for some reason was Austin Powers.
I'm not doing an Austin Powers podcast, mate.
I know.
My Yeah Baby Austin Powers podcast will be coming, next year.
Yes, yeah, but it was just fascinating. Like, I don't know why, but
you're like, finally a film that speaks to me.
It's definitely the velour suit. I think the blue velour suit got me.
Have you done a dress up as Austin Powers?
I never have. No. I keep getting served ads from costume shops.
Oh, really?
The Austin Powers get up.
Yeah, your phone's always listening to you. Like you're going to open up Instagram tonight, and there's going to be a bunch of Austin Powers related ads.
100%.
They're always listening. It's like when you say bananas over and over again, and then all of a sudden there's ads for bananas. Austin Powers, okay.
That was Austin Powers, Wayne's World were probably the ones that stick in my head from that, I guess. It's a bit later, but all in the mix. But I guess our family was heavily influenced by Star Wars, and talking to other families that never really connected with it, it just shows how influential it was for all of us, I guess. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like the longer this podcast has been kind of going on, and and I've done sort of nearly 60 episodes now, and when I sort of started, I was like, all right, well, how am I going to find people to be on this thing? And then I instantly go, oh, that cousin's into that, and that cousin's into that. And all of a sudden, you've got like 10 people straight off the top of your head. Like we've got a lot of cousins. What have we got? 20 odd cousins. I feel like I could probably go. I reckon I could easily go to almost all of them and get some Star Wars goodies out, some content out of it anyway. Like whether you get people who are really sort of hardcore and know it really intimately, or just how it was kind of always around. It was sort of like you go around to someone's place and it'd be one of the videos on the shelf, and you'd sit down, you bust out a bit of Star Wars or playing a bit of Star Wars around the yard and things. And
I definitely know. I watched it. Yeah, at the Durants and at the Chapmans and at our own house. So there's 3 family homes that were all had it on
quite a lot
on repeat. It's interesting reflecting in a more poetic and mature age now. I've learned a lot more about the philosophical concept of the hero's journey.
Yep.
And I guess it would be interesting to go back now. I haven't watched the films for a while, but to go back and watch the first 3, having known more about the story of the hero's journey and the poetic story that's been handed down for tens of thousands of years of the concept of the male journey through life and going from boyhood to the prince and the king, and then overcoming challenges in life. Like it's a poetic story.
Well, it's funny that you sort of say like the male journey, because like obviously the new movies that come out have got a female hero, and Force Awakens, which came out a while ago. A lot of people are like, oh, it hits a lot of the same beats as the original. There's a lot of like, we're bringing this thing back. We want it to be as familiar and everything you remember and everything you love, and a lot of those story beats that Luke goes through, Rey goes through the same ones. They kind of apply the same things. Like she's sort of thrust into the unknown, and then she meets the mentor, and she sort of falls but gets back up, or rejects it, and then ultimately sort of fulfills her destiny. And so the sort of the lot of stuff in Star Wars, they talk about sort of recurring themes, and there's this whole thing called Star Wars ring theory, which basically means that there are certain themes that run through all the films that sort of secular. They echo all the time.
Yeah.
And there's kind of 2 schools of thought. The first school of thought, which is the more reasonable one, is like, there's a lot of things, like I said, there's themes and bits that repeat and da-da-da-da-da-da, and they hit these beats and stuff. And then you can go to like some internet site that some dude's gone, he's like, when you look at this frame, Luke looks to the left of the screen. And then if you look at this movie, 3 movies later, Rey looks to the left of the screen. It's like, well, that's a little bit hardcore, dude. Coincidence. Let's not get too like Luke switches his lightsaber on and moves it over his face this way, and this happens, and it's like, that's a little hardcore. Yeah, but people are always you're talking about from a mature point of view, people kind of break these movies down to a molecular level.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, the story. I mean, the original three. That story, and it hasn't. It's every cycle. You talk about cycles. Every cycle of culture in humanity seems to popularize the story of the hero's journey. And I think the Grimm brothers, there's a book by the Grimm brothers, Pillow and the Key, and that's the story. They popularized it in their generation, which was the male journey through life and making it more poetic so it's palatable to the audience of that generation. And just every generation someone makes a bit of cash off it, I guess.
Well, the thing is, like Star Wars has just done it within its own saga of movies. You know what I mean? Like talking about generations, it's like, 20 years after the last one, we're just going to do it again.
Yeah.
We're going to use a different hero. But this new saga, because they're talking about these 9 movies that they're going to be now. They're calling it the Skywalker saga. So they're saying that this one that's coming out at the end of the year, this is the end of the Skywalker saga. We're wrapping it up. It's not the end of Star Wars. There's a lot more money to be made. There's a lot more stories to be told. But this is like the last one that's predominantly about the Skywalker family and all those dudes and dudettes. So there's a lot of sort of conjecture, amongst the fans of what are they going to do? How do you wrap this whole thing up? How do you, what do you do? Now, when I left you last time, I'd asked you, had you watched the trailer for the new film?
You did.
Now, you're looking at me like, I knew I was supposed to do something.
I was waiting for my new phone.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little pause.
Great,
We're going to pull up the old YouTube.
Amazing.
And we're gonna pick back up with you in a couple of minutes.
All right, awesome. Let's go.
All right, you do that, and I'll talk to you in a minute.
Wicked.
All right.
I'm looking forward to Christmas.
Now, I'm just hoping. We've just jumped back forward in time here. Rhett's just ducked off for a few minutes here. This is real time. He's only been gone for about 2 minutes 20, about the time it takes to record to watch a little video there.
True.
So tell me what you saw, mate. Tell the people at home. If let's just pretend that anybody listening to a Star Wars podcast hasn't watched the trailer before. What did you see?
What did I see? I saw all the characters from the last one reintroduced, and I saw the Death Star smashed up on the ground.
So, if the Death Star's smashed up in the ground, is that the Return of the Jedi Death Star, you reckon? Or the first movie's Death Star?
Oh, good question. Shit.
I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer. We actually don't know.
Yeah, that's a really. In my mind, it was the shit.
It feels like it should be the second one for me, just because.
Yeah,
that's the last. As we last left it. Now, did you get to the very end? Did you get to the laughter at the end?
I did.
Was that something that you sort of thought was possible? Something that you really thought would be bringing the old Emperor back?
No, it's a twist, and is it the old? Yeah, is it? It's interesting that they're trying to link. Well, again, it's this circling, looping scenario.
So how do you link these 9 movies? You pick the bad guy who's been in all of them, I guess, and you bring him back for one last hurrah.
One last hurrah. Will he show up in the film, or do you think they'll just end it with both parties kind of still being in existence? Yeah, or do you think there's going to be a lot of death in this one?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say, because it's like, on one hand, you think some people have got to go, but at the same time, it's still a Star Wars movie, like good usually wins in the end of these things. So
yeah,
you're kind of going, well, realistically, who's going to make it out? I mean, the big sort of question is, will Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, will he make it out alive? Will he turn from the dark side in the end and reject all this sort of stuff? But throwing the old Emperor into the mix
definitely adds a twist.
Yeah, so that's kind of why everyone's going, well, it must be the second Death Star, because he kind of got, he got thrown down the hole in the Death Star.
Yep.
You know, and the Death Star blew up, but that doesn't seem to have kept him down.
No. It's got to be the second one for me. That was definitely the feeling I got when I came away from that. It definitely didn't feel like the first.
Now, that was parked above.
That was a pretty big explosion in the first one. Like, it was
They're
like...
both pretty big explosions, though.
That's true. But the first one, like, went into stardust, didn't it? It was like, there's no way that could have landed on some
the
planet
camera just
somewhere.
sits there and there's actually really nothing there, is there?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like all of a sudden it just went and
Nah.
dropped straight down.
That thing's gone.
That thing's gone. Right. So, you know, what I've been sort of going was, if it's the second Death Star, it must be, you know, it blew up above the old Ewok planet above Endor. Does that mean we're going back to Endor? Does this thing just drop out of the sky straight down onto the planet below?
So you think the opening scene in the desert's not the planet that the Death Star's on in that last shot?
I don't reckon. They reckon
they're very different. They're very different.
Yeah, they've said that. I mean, there's always, you know, 2 or 3 locations in a Star Wars. They reckon that desert planet actually isn't Tatooine, and it's not the one from The Force Awakens. It's another desert planet, but that could all be lip service. You know, they could just be saying it to throw. You know, it's all misinformation. They never want you to know exactly what they're doing. So
and Lando's in it. Yeah.
So you didn't know that? Was that a bit of a surprise?
That was, and is it the same dude?
Yeah, Billy D.
Oh shit. Yeah, he looked a bit chubbier, which makes sense. God, they made him look youthful. He looked pretty youthful is he 80?
Yeah.
Damn.
He was, when I went to Star Wars Celebration, we went to the big panel and Billy D turned up.
Wow.
And he was looking pretty smooth, you know. He was just like, sweet, you're all so sweet. It was really weird though, because he came out, he had like a walking stick and stuff. Like, I think he's at least 80, maybe 81, 82. And they had these sort of like, you know, those kind of high stools. Like, they had them all lined up for everyone to sit in, and we were sort of side on. And Billy D, he couldn't quite get up. Like, he couldn't lift himself up onto the high stool. So he was sort of just leaning on it to sit. I'm looking going, oh, please don't let Lando, you know,
fall over on the panel.
Yeah, and break his hip. I don't need to see that.
Yeah, make sure they got the shooting done first.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah, so they're bringing out the old Lando.
Amazing.
What else you see in there? You saw the old Rey doing the run away from the TIE fighter.
Amazing, yeah. And what it reminded me, I haven't, like, because it's been a while since the last episode, seeing Rey again was like, holy shit. I actually know her sister.
Oh, really?
And her sister lives in Melbourne.
In Melbourne, yeah. My mate Steele Saunders, who has the Steele Wars podcast, he's interviewed Daisy Ridley a couple of times, who plays Rey.
Yeah, right.
And she's actually said, like, because he's like said, I'm from Australia, and she's like, oh, my sister lives in Australia. So there you go.
Nice,
did she suffer from the same thing you know, a famous sibling, you know, the bitterness inside that burns with you every day?
I thought, no, absolutely not. Which is funny. She is so, it definitely burns brighter in me than it does in her. It's, no, she's very much doing her own thing over here, and is completely aware of,
famous
of the whole, situation. And, she gave me a little insight when I caught up with her years ago, just when it was first all blowing up, and just how much, her sister was made aware of, just like psychologically, how big this is going to be for her and her an impact on her private life, and it'll never be the same, and be prepared. And these are all the things you need to be considerate of. And it was an interesting insight into going pretty much rough, give or take, an unknown to absolute mega stardom. It's and then obviously the passion of the fans as well.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the passion of the fans is a double-edged sword. You know, you get to feed off that excitement and people happy to see you, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you just want some time to yourself. You're not the character as well. People don't own you. It's
totally.
I have heard that she does pop into Australia every now and then to see the family and stuff. So You haven't got you have to get the Ridley sisters down on the hill, mate, down the festival for a few comps, and I'll.
It's probably not far. Yeah, I'll check in with her sister.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to have Daisy. The closer to get Daisy Ridley's sister on the podcast, I'm sure she'd love that. Like, tell me all about your sister in Star Wars.
Yeah, she'll really love that.
She'll really love that. Yeah, she's like, look, I'm happy to, but I don't need that.
Nah, she's she's lovely.
So does she, not to pry on her sister too much and stuff, but is she someone that you're connected with through the music festival thing, or just happened to be
met her through mutual friends, yeah, and and then she works in Eastern medicine, sort of health.
There you go.
Side. So I've actually seen her as a client as well for her healing stuff. So we have a bit of a chin wag, but very nice family.
Yeah, it's just next time you go down for a session, you're like, I saw your sister backflip over a TIE fighter the other day.
Exactly. It is odd to be like at least literally 1 degree or 2 degrees from someone in it. That's very.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It's Well, I've got a friend of mine in London who works with Lucasfilm and stuff as well, and it's just it's funny that given that someone who's that close to it, it still feels a million miles away. You know what I mean? Like it's not as if you can go like, all right, well, get me on that Star Wars set. It's like, nah, dude, like it's no different to any job. It's If you worked at the AFL, it's just like I can't just give you free tickets to the footy all of a sudden.
You can't just roll in.
Yeah, exactly. And you must get a lot of that as a guy who runs music festivals and events. It's always, you probably get a lot of, hey, I'm so-and-so, so-and-so, the old sweet hookups.
I'm always very conscious not to be that guy. It's when asking as well. Like I never expect it. I think I'll put it out there, but I'll always disclaim it with like, totally understand if this is not a thing. But do you know if did they shoot any of it at all in Oz or New Zealand? None of them.
No, not these ones. No. So they did the 2 and 3, the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith were both shot in Sydney. So that was the ones that were shot sort of 2000, 2001-ish, I think. So that was when you saw all the Aussie actors popping up in it. You're like, oh, Jack Thompson's in this, or Rose Byrne, or Joel Edgerton, or, all these random Claudia Cavan. It's like all these random Aussie actors would turn up in these Star Wars movies. But
the Aussie dollar.
Yeah, the Aussie dollar killed us. Although it's rubbish.
It was too high at the wrong time.
Yeah, it was. No, they shoot them predominantly in England. They do principal photography in England, and then I think wherever they go on location. I think they're in Jordan. I think for this one, and they've done a bunch of places like that. So. No such luck this time.
Donuts
But you never
for
know.
Oz.
So now you've seen the film, you've seen the trailer, not the film. So you come down opening night. You're gonna get. Oh, you said you're sort of the next couple of days kind of man. First week of release.
I don't know. For the last one, I'm back in Melbourne. I'll hopefully find someone that knows someone that works in film or has a cinema to try and pull a guest ticket
early. Come in at midnight with the rest of us, you bloody, trying to weasel your way in.
Get a premiere.
Call your friend up, Daisy Ridley's sister, and weasel your way into something.
Yeah, exactly. Just go have another healing session and be like, hey, about that premiere night.
She's like, hey, it comes out in 3 days, slacker. Go see it with the rest of the public.
Yeah. Have you? So when's it all going on sale? When are we able to get? It won't be for a few months.
Yeah, it's sort of October-ish, I think. They sort of drop another trailer. They'll drop the full trailer, which give a bit more of the plot away, and then they'll go like tickets on sale now or next Monday. Or we've sort of done the midnight screenings down at Knox. Last couple of big ones. So the guy I was just mentioning before, Steele, with his podcast, he did a joint thing with one of the fan clubs here where they get the big room in Knox, and they have, I think it seats like 1,000 people or something, or it's quite a lot. And then they'll show it there, and then he would do like a live show afterwards at the pub next door, about 2 a.m. with a few comedians and stuff. And
it sounds like a great night out.
A few musos. Had Paul Dempsey down there a couple of times, and he's a big Star Wars guy. Yeah, he's mates with Steele, so he's come down and give any Star Wars thoughts. I think isn't there a Paul Dempsey story where Aiden, your brother's band, supported something for Kate and drank all their beer or something? Is it?
Oh, you're testing me there.
Is that a true story? I have a feeling that one of the bands that Aiden was in, it might have been Long Walk Home, they supported something for Kate at some uni gig, and they drank all their beer, and they got mad at them.
There weren't many Long Walk Home gigs I wasn't involved in, but
that he didn't drink all the beer.
No, yeah, yeah, it's true. Have you had Aiden on this yet?
No, he's on the list. He's on the list.
Yeah.
He's just had a kid. He had a second kid. I can't,
Well, you know where he is. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. No. Well, I've got 2 of the 3 McLaren boys now, so I've got to get a few more. I've been trying to get Glyn back on. So the funny thing about Glyn is, I don't know if you know this, but he's a bit sort of disenfranchised with Star Wars at the moment. He sort of fell out of love after the last film. He didn't like The Last Jedi, and
That's interesting. What was the main critique that sort of drew him?
He said he didn't really feel compelled by the story that he sort of said, and I think deep down he didn't like that Luke was a bit of a beaten down, that he sort of felt like a failure kind of thing. I think a lot of people had issues with that sort of element of the story, because Luke was their hero, and then you check back in with him 30 years later, and he's sort of given up on life.
He's gone a bit aloof. Yeah.
Gone a bit aloof. Like I think he sort of redeems himself at the end and, gets back in the fight. So I think he's still smarting a little bit. I saw him when I saw you and saw him the other day. I'm always checking in. I'm like, how you going, mate? You're feeling. He's a bit like, oh no, I'm still just not. I'm not there yet. I'm not feeling it.
That's big. Had he seen the trailer?
No, well, he hasn't got. He doesn't do trailers, so he said that he's going to go to the new one. He hasn't fallen that far out of love, but he hasn't watched the new young Han Solo movie yet. So there's a Star Wars movie out there that he hasn't seen that he's just kind of like, oh no, I can't.
He's disenfranchised, and his kids aren't winding him up.
I don't know. Actually, I should ask them.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That's what these things are all targeted, getting that next wave.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Involved.
Yeah, well, I want to, because I was telling him all about Star Wars Celebration that I went to earlier this year, and he was just like, oh, that sounds great. I'm like, dude, come along, come to Anaheim next year, or, I'd love to have you there. You'd have an awesome time, and it doesn't, it's so catered to, you name it, any generation that you came, whether you're a brand new fan or an old school fan, they've kind of got panels and things for all sorts of things. They'll have like a panel on shipping. Do you know what shipping is? Are you familiar with the term shipping? So it's where people kind of put their hearts into 2 characters getting together. So they'll all be like, oh, I'm shipping Rey and Kylo. I want them to get together. So that's like my thing. Or sometimes it's much more obscure. It's like, I want these 2 obscure characters who don't have anything to do with each other. I want them to be together, and they write stories about it or draw pictures and all this kind of stuff. And
fascinating. Wow.
It's a whole
shipping.
Thing. Yeah.
Where's the shipping term come from? Like ships in the night or something?
I'm not sure. That's a very good question, actually. I'm not sure. I better find that out.
I've never heard that term.
I had a podcaster on last week, Holly from Rebel Dispatch, and she's a big shipper. She ships Poe Dameron and Finn, so she ships the dudes. She wants the dudes to get together. That's like her thing.
That would be very topical and of the time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. She's kind of like, where is it? Because, it's about time, man. When we get So
that's interesting. It will be interesting in this, next episode, whether they go down that road.
Yeah, exactly.
In the modern format.
Yeah, that's right. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on. I'm glad we got to finish the conversation that we had. I'm glad that you're excited. I'm glad you're excited.
You've definitely wound me up. It's good. I think I've been up
like,
in my own little world for a while. But I'm inspired.
Have you got Stan? I think a bunch of them are on Stan. Get down there.
Yeah, they do. To be honest, the last touch point for the last episode would have been when it first came out. So it's been a while. It's nice to refresh.
We've rekindled the fire a little bit.
Certainly have.
Look, if you want to come down to midnight, mate, I'll let you know when it's happening. You can pop down to Knox.
Get the Facebook group going. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm in.
That's right. We'll get you on there. People can see how you've moved on from your awkward teenage years in person.
That's it. and keep me out of the McCartan's pub on Christmas Eve. Is that when they usually host it? When's the night?
Oh no, it's not in Lingatha. It's down at
Yeah. But is it on Christmas Eve?
Oh, Christmas, yeah. So it'll be around the same time. Yeah, well, you can just go down to the pub. You can go down to Lingatha Cinema again and then hit the pub straight afterwards.
No, I think not.
All right. Well, are you? You're a bit of a social. You're not really a social media man, are you? You got a bit of Instagram, but you're not really a Twitter or anything, are you?
Definitely not a Twitter. No, I don't do any tweeting.
Maybe we'll plug if you want to see Rhett's handiwork. Talk about the festivals, mate. Give us a quick overview of the current slate from the festivals, if you want to.
Slate of festivals. We've got a season of 4 coming up this year. The first one is our newest one in Shepparton, called Land of Plenty Festival. It's a 1-day festival celebrating the town and also just showcasing some of the biggest acts in Australia. So that's in 2nd of November, and Shepparton. And we love our regional events. And then we've got New Year's Eve on the Hill, which is our longest standing festival, happening on the family farm.
On the farm, the old farm. We've spent many a time playing Star Wars. You can find the tree houses and you can...
That's it. Yeah, you can now just get to celebrate the New Year's, the coming in of the new year, with about 3,000 people. So that's a camping festival. It's over 3 days. Again, showcasing all Australian artists. And then a week later, we host our big punk and hardcore festival called Unified Gathering. That is a 4-day, 3-night camping festival of about 8 to 10,000. 8 to 10,000, yeah, it's getting up there.
I haven't been to that one yet.
You've got to come. The energy's wild. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and
I'm a huge metal guy. I've got some friends in the community who are big metal guys who'd be going nuts for that, but they live overseas. But you never know, huh? You're selling it?
Yeah. No, we're pushing overseas. We sold about 50 tickets internationally. Some from the UK and from America actually flew over.
Hawes, if you're listening to this, my buddy Hawes, he loves his metal. Brothers, come down here, guys. Come down to Unify. I'll come if you come.
Get on down. Whoa, the challenge has been set. Let's go. And then our new last season was a little 1-day for families called Ocean Sounds down at Churchill Island, which is an island off the island of Australia. So there's 2 bridges involved to get to that one, but a good family day out, and that's the 1 day. We had about 1,400 people and about 600 children, which was a new audience to look after.
You got to get that Regurgitated to do their kids album there.
Yeah, that would be a time.
We're going to Cat's taking Olive to see them at the Corner, doing it, I think, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
Doing like school holiday gigs. It's a pretty good album, actually.
Oh, they're funny, those guys. That was probably one of the highlights of my promoting career, was to stand on our family farm hill and have Regurgitator.
Yeah, not bad.
Out. That was a time. Yeah.
Second highlight only to being on this podcast, mate.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Well, you can find us at StarWarsSpelledOut.com. We've got a whole bunch of new T-shirt designs. People keep requesting new stuff, and I keep churning out these new designs as they're happening. So if you do have a request, I'll see if I can do it, and then you've got to buy it because, that's the deal. And, yeah, thanks a lot, dude.
No worries. Anytime.
All right. We'll speak
maybe
to you
after
soon.
The next episode.
Oh, for sure. We'll get the Redo review.
Good stuff.
Good on you, mate.